What's going on with you guys? It's your boy Say Revenge, whatever you want to call me. And I'm here to present you a video today talking about Halloween being an excuse to be a slut. And I'm not going to come on here and act like I'm holier than thou. Like I always say, I'm not perfect. I pray every day, praying for God to forgive me for the sins that I commit every single second of every day, because we all do it. But I just want to spread the message that somebody might need to hear, or, somebody might need to have this video playing while they at work or something, and they want to spread this information to their homegirls or their homeboy that's finna go celebrate at a Halloween party pretty soon. But tonight, well, I'm recording this tonight. It's about like 10 o'clock, well, 11 actually. It's 11 o'clock. So I just want to come on here and talk about this because it's pretty important that we understand that you don't have to be a slut to enjoy your Halloween night. Now, first and foremost, we're human. We try to find different ways to have fun. So obviously, some people might see this as a way to have fun, and I'm not going to sit up here and say there's something wrong with that, but I'm not going to say it's right with that either. Because at the end of the day, we live in an evil world where if you perceive yourself as promiscuous, you're going to get people with promiscuous intent approaching you, whether that's a man or a woman. And I'm specifically talking about the women because they are more capable to being presented with men with devious intent. And we can't control what these people do. We can't control what their mindset is like. All we could do is prevent ourselves from being in a scenario where we have to, unfortunately, put harm to another person so we could get away or de-escalate situations. And, when it comes with women, they carry pepper spray, sometimes tasers, sometimes even a gun or a dagger, whatever it takes to protect themselves. Or, if you're a woman, of course, watching this, to protect yourself. You got to do what you got to do on a night where some folks is really out here just looking to do bad things. Now, for a man out there trying to have fun on a Halloween night, and you see women out here just having their ass cheeks out with a bunny tail attached to their two-piece or whatever we call it, or you see a woman who's damn near half-ass naked, or better yet, there's women out here who will be naked in the cold-ass night, painting over themselves as Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Batwoman, whatever the case may be. And yes, this is real. There are women out here who paint over their whole body, and it will be perceived as a quote-unquote costume. And mind you, sometimes the women could try to force themselves onto you. You don't want a scenario where a woman does that, and next thing you know, y'all get back to the hotel or whatever the case may be because y'all were so horny and slutted out that night. Now you in a whole situation where she talking about she regretted. Now you got to sit up here and deal with allegations. And, majority of the time, those allegations is not going to hit well for you because, if we being real, men in the court system really don't win. It's not really meant for men to prosper in those court systems. But I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know everything. I'm just going off of what I've seen on the internet and read in articles and just doing deep searches on the Google, on different websites, looking up information. I'm the type of person to always want to learn more about things that I don't have no knowledge of. But back to the topic at hand, Halloween is not an excuse to be slutty. There's no reason for anyone out here to just go, especially at night. My mom and dad always told me that nothing good happens at night. After 12 o'clock, what are you really outside for? Nothing but sin and evil comes out at night. And it's proof, crimes be happening more at night. People who dress in all black, they come out at night trying to commit crimes because they're not easily detected. Who wants to commit a crime in broad daylight and everybody seeing you while they're walking on the side of the street and they like, damn, this nigga don't got no mask or nothing. He's just out here just willy-nilly just saying, fuck it. Hey, I can report that. You feel me? Second of all, you don't want to put yourself in a scenario where your image is tainted now, where all you're known as is that person from that Halloween night who is just so horny, so slutted out, wanted to be this person that perceived as so promiscuous, easygoing, green bean, to the point where now in the future, man or woman, if you try to get with somebody or somebody try to get with you and they do their background check, they do their background research, now you out here looking like the whore of the town. And, we could sit up here and be like, oh, well, one person's actions doesn't define their whole image. People make mistakes. That's true. People do make mistakes. But here's the thing. Judgment still exists. Obviously, the only person that should judge is God. But judgment is on this earth. People are going to judge you for being perfect. People are going to judge you for doing good things. But people are definitely going to judge you for doing bad things. And when you are out here woobity wham bopping at night, you don't got no clothes on, you dressing up in a promiscuous manner. And for the niggas too, you want to go out there and, be out there oiled up at night, looking like a prisoner and all type of shit, acting like you out here just wanting to fuck everything, wanting to hunch on every woman because they got a cooch between their legs. Or if you're a woman, you want to hunch on every man because they got some ding ding in their pants and you horny or you ovulating and all that shit. Man, that shit gonna catch up to you, bruh. And I'm not gonna sit up here and act like, I just never done this. I've been to Halloween parties and I've seen people, and I've almost, thankfully I've had the self-control to not put myself in a situation where I could live in regret. Obviously men are going to, especially men who already lost their V cards, men who just horny and obviously with consent. You don't want to be out here doing the woobity wham bop with no consent. That's how you get your ass locked up. You probably see a girl that's trying to hit on you and, you probably haven't had none in a while. And she's like, hey, let's go back to my apartment, consensually, of course. And, y'all take things from there. And if you do end up in that scenario on a Halloween night, strap up, man. Don't be getting these women pregnant. And don't let no woman try to close her legs on you, try to hit you with the Demetrius Johnson arm lock of doom. But it's not an arm lock. It's a stomach wrap trying to keep your ding-ding inside of her. And next thing you know, she's trying to force you to have a man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying you should be out here trying to force your physical actions to get a woman off of you. But, man, in a situation like that, please, for the love of God, prevent yourself from doing something you're going to regret. Because obviously giving birth to a child is a gift from God. But you want that gift from God to be something y'all planned for, something that you're ready for. You don't want to just have a child because you was just out here trying to hunch at night. But, man, Halloween, I'm going to keep saying this, Halloween isn't an excuse to be a slut, bro. All that shit catches up with you, bro. And you don't want to fall victim to this scenario where you got to recoup your losses and you got to explain what happened, when it happened, why it happened, how it happened, where it happened. And next thing you know, you fall into a pit of doom. Because a lot of the times, like I said, niggas don't recover from this shit, especially when it comes to people getting drunk, getting high. And sometimes these parties be having distribution of that white stuff, you feel me, that powder, and it goes unnoticed, especially at them campuses. I forgot to mention this earlier in the video, but especially if you live on a college campus, especially just some big campuses. I ain't gonna put no names out there. I mean, if you go to college, you're bound to have Halloween parties at apartment complexes and in the campus buildings and the dorms and all that, man. It's everywhere. But especially at those campuses where it is party oriented, like that's their whole theme, that's what they're known for, man, you could easily fall victim to this shit. And it's going to be hard to get out of it, and you don't want to fall into this life of sin and just always trying to get some play. Because once Halloween night ends, that costume is not getting put on for another year. That costume is going to be collecting dust. You're going to be sitting in your room with the post-hunch clarity. You're going to have these thoughts of, should I have really done this? Was it really worth it? I had fun, but at what cost? And a lot of the times, it don't really be meaningful. You want to have that type of stuff, those type of actions with people that you're going to see yourself with in a couple of years. You're going to see yourself marrying this person. You want to see yourself indulging and having a future with this person. But, you know, when it comes to just Halloween parties and you seeing a bunch of lustful acts and all this shit, man, that shit is going to catch up to you, bro. And you don't want to have your mindset deteriorated to the point where, you know, every time nowadays your mindset is, oh, I see women dressing promiscuous. Nah, I just got to go at them. I got a hunch on them. No, bro. Sometimes you got to get away from that shit, bro. No, not sometimes. Majority of the time, you got to get away from that shit. Because a lot of the times, it don't really end up doing you any justice. You feel me? And it don't make it no better that, you know, energy is everything. You know, your energy is what makes you have good days, what makes you have bad days. And when you having sex with people, you know, you're transferring energy. As much as we try to make it seem like, oh, it's just something to do. No, it's not just something to do. That's something that carries on with you, you know, for a while. You know, that's that connection that we always bypass. You know, you wondering when you have intercourse with a said person, you wonder why you can't stop thinking about this person. You wondering why every move you make, you know, every song that you listen to, she's climbing into your head or he's climbing into your head. You know, it gets deep, bro. You know, it's not just something that's just 1 + 1, bro. It goes past 1 + 1. It goes into all different types of X's and O's, and you know, it goes into just so much crazy stuff that we don't acknowledge, bro. Like, we got to start acknowledging these things. We got to put, I don't want to say shame to it, but we kind of have to put shame to it. You know, I'm going to take that back. We got to put shame to these things, bro, because it's not normal. These things are not normal. People dressing up like this, and it's a Halloween night, bro. God forbid you not even living on the campus. You in the neighborhood where there's families, there's kids coming out trying to have fun with their mom and dad, trying to get candy, get their sugar rush, and you out here half-ass naked, and you out here twerking that butt, or you a nigga out here trying to do the Indianapolis Colts dance and shit. Like, y'all know that mascot that be doing the thrust in the air, but you a whole prisoner. Or you damn near don't even got no clothes on your damn self, nigga, and it's cold as fuck, bro. Man, that shit is weird, bro. And that's how you get hit with that prayed word. You feel me? You don't want them allegations upon your name, because then you just fucking up your whole future. Now it's over for you. But all in all, man, Halloween isn't an excuse to be a slut, bro. If you want to go out there and have fun on Halloween, do that. I'm not saying don't do that. But be aware of what you're doing, man or woman, bro. And take yourself serious and hold yourself accountable for the dastardly shit that you might see or you might do yourself. It's your boy Said. Catch y'all in another video. I love each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Subscribe. Got more coming y'all way, bro. I love each and every one of y'all. Peace.